Greetings and welcome. Wow, we got the big glare going today. I just thought I thought I had this straightened out. Oh, too funny. All right, well, so you got a little glare there today. That's just the way it's going to be. Hope it's a great day. Let's go. Let's start from the beginning, right? Greetings and welcome. This is New Thought Media Network. I am Ken Ludwig, and you are watching the Vibrant Living Hour. Hope this day finds you safe, healthy, and happy, and that you are enjoying your absolute best life, no matter what it is, no matter where you are, no matter what you're doing. Because that's what this show is all about, living your best life. I got some issues going on here. I don't know what it is, but that's the way it is. So anyway, I just, it's really funny. You click a wrong button and then you don't know what's going to happen next, and things get weird. And now I got my whole show taking up my entire screen, and boy, oh boy, is there glare. I'm so, so just bear with me here for 1 second. I'm just going to stand up and you're going to, there you go. That's a little bit better. There's just a sheer curtain in front of me here that I can use. So here we are. Another day on the planet. I hope, I hope you're living your best life. You're enjoying your day. No matter what you're doing, where you're doing it, that everything is unfolding exactly how you would have it unfold, and that you're loving your life. I can see you out there when you come on, and I can see that. I don't know who is out there, and I don't know where you're watching from, but what I would like for you to do is make a comment, say hello, ask a question, anything you want to do that would contribute to the show. I'm happy to do that. I apologize again for the glare. I mean, I got the glasses that I have on are the best glasses I have to eliminate glare. I had bought 4 pair of non-glare, non-reflective glasses on Amazon, and not one pair of them lasted more than a month. So they're all gone now. I have to find another resource for that, and something that'll last a little bit longer than 4 or 5 wears before the earpiece just breaks right off. Oh well. So my beloved Lisa and I just returned from 5 days, 6 days total with travel in New York. It was great. Actually, it was 7 days, including travel. We drove up to New York, which is one of the real advantages of living here in North Carolina, especially. Let's go here. I don't understand what's going on here. I got an error message of some kind. I think one of my things is not showing up. Hi, Diego. How are you? Diego from Greeley, Colorado. Thank you for telling me the glare is not bad. It's depends. It sometimes depends on how I hold my head, makes a difference. But anyway, so here we are. And I really, they're reading glasses, which I normally would wear down low to read, but I got to be able to see the screen, whatever. So there I am. I'm watching the screen. And I have here, this is the first time I've ever seen this. I can, all right, there we go. And Diego says, maybe I'm the only one who's noticing it. Well, that's good. If you're not noticing, then I'm just talking to myself, right? Anyway, we just returned from New York. It was our first trip driving up to New York. First time we've ever done that. We had a baby shower to go to, and it was fabulous. We drove up all in one shot. It was a beautiful trip, seeing things we'd never seen before on the highway, mostly on 95, although we went up to the side and went up what we thought was the Chesapeake Bay Bridge. Turned out to be a different bridge, but it went over Chesapeake Bay, and that was beautiful and very scenic, and the bridge was cool, and it got us off of 95 for a while, but we wound up back on 95. Then we get up to New York, and my sister, one of my sisters, my sister Elizabeth, she helped to guide us because she's made the trip before, and we wound up on a bridge I've never been on before. It's the outer bridge on the lower portion of Staten Island, and it goes across Staten Island, and you get on the Verrazano Bridge, which crosses from Staten Island over onto Long Island and gets you onto what's known as the Belt Parkway. And the Belt Parkway then takes you to Southern State Parkway, which takes you to the points east where I'm going on the south shore of Long Island. Although where we were staying was on the north shore, certain times of day you want to get as far east as you can possibly get before you go north, because traffic's going to start to build. Well, we got off the Verrazano Bridge at about 4:00 in the afternoon and came to a screeching halt. It took us a little more than 2 hours to get the hour and 15 minutes we had to go. So anyway, that was cool. But that's just traffic on the East Coast, man. It's a little crazy. And we had a great time. We had, like I said, I think I said I had a baby shower for a nephew, my nephew and my new niece, Amy, who my nephew Matt and his wife Amy, who I married in 2018. They're having a little girl, and so they were having a party, and the whole family got together. It was one of those rare occasions where I get to take pictures with all 8 of my siblings, my brothers and sisters, which is always interesting when we get together. It's always interesting when we try to take a picture, but we had a good time. Then we drove down. When we drove back, we took 2 days to see the sights, and we went inland away to stay off of 95. We came down primarily Highway 81 after we got across to Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. Then we came down to Harrisonburg, Virginia, then to Roanoke, Virginia, and then back down here to Raleigh, North Carolina. Very scenic, very nice. We really we just had a great time with my family and at the party, at the shower. So that's where we were. That's what we were doing. But the reason I even bring it up is I had a couple of really interesting conversations the night before the party, I believe. I was speaking to 2 of my younger nieces. They are 20 and 21, I believe, and the 21-year-old's boyfriend. I was talking to the 3 of them about just the world, about younger generations. Younger people seem to be very, very disconnected from the thoughts of religion, organized religion. They don't seem to be too happy with that whole concept. They certainly don't seem to be too engaged with it. And I find that I find it both extraordinary and refreshing, but at the same time, there's no connection to anything bigger than themselves. In the Science of Mind, I believe it's the very first sentence in the Science of Mind says there's a power greater than we are in the universe, and we can use it. And that's what the conversation was about primarily. I was talking about metaphysics, and it's interesting to me how young people they get metaphysics like that, man. They just totally get it. And I was talking about the oneness of all life, and I discussed it from the perspective of there's no place where you end and I begin. No place where you end and she begins, or she begins. We are all just one energy. We are emanations of the divine, the universe, the overarching creative intelligence, whatever you want to call it. It creates nonstop. It's all it does is create. That's why we know, science tells it the universe is ever expanding. It just keeps getting bigger and bigger and bigger. Well, that is that overarching intelligence creating, continuing to create. And we talked about the idea that if this intelligence is creating, and the only thing that is this intelligence, this vibrational, volitional energy, if that's the only thing that is, then what is it creating everything out of? And they immediately got that it only has one thing to create from, and it creates from itself. Makes it really easy to connect the dots, doesn't it? If it's only creating from itself and I'm part of its creation, Shazam! I must be an emanation of the divine, and even an individuation of the divine. The old drop in the ocean thing, right? I am not the ocean, but I am the ocean in every drop. The entirety of the ocean in every drop, and I am that drop. Not to the degree of the divine, but certainly the attributes of the divine. And part of the creative process from the human perspective is that the Creator has endowed us with the ability to create from where we are, to create the same way it creates, which is thought. If it is an overarching creative intelligence that is a volitional, energetic intelligence, then everything is twice created, right? It creates the thought, and then it creates the reality. And it has imbued each and every one of us with that ability to do just that. But we have to be in alignment. We talk about that all the time. Every teacher on the planet talks about you must be in alignment with that infinite ocean of possibilities, with that quantum field. We must be in alignment with it if we are to, I love to use the word coagulate, if we are to coagulate that energetic thought into reality. Everything is twice created. It starts with a thought and then becomes reality. But we have to be aligned with it. That is not necessarily the easiest thing to do, but it is the simplest thing to do. And of course, we being humans, we take that concept and then we just complicate the bejesus out of it so that what we come up with at the end and what we're practicing rarely resembles the simple idea that we need to focus our attention on never losing sight of that overarching creative intelligence, of that God, if you will. So I had this conversation with these three young people, and they totally got it. And in fact, my one niece went into her phone and double checked to make sure that she had my phone number correct and that I had her phone number so that we could converse back and forth about readings, about books that she might be interested in that might help her expand her idea. I told them all the story. Oh, let's have a sip. I told them all the story about when I first started to study metaphysics in the early mid 90s, like 93, 94, that I got so excited about it that people would say, "What are you so excited about?" And I'd be like, "Hubba, hubba, 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 hubba." I couldn't string together two coherent sentences about what I was all excited about. But I continued my studies, and now I don't think it's conceited to say I believe I can discuss metaphysics and spirituality pretty much with anybody on any level, anywhere, anytime, any place. So I told them that I would be glad to contribute to their knowledge base so that they could then see what I was talking about on a grander scale, and perhaps then continue reading and studying and grow into whatever you want to call it, the next highest vision of their spiritual self. And that was just an extraordinary conversation. These young people just totally, absolutely got it. And it was very cool. Then I had a conversation at the end of the party we went to, actually with my nephew Nick, who is the oldest. He's my oldest male child of my siblings. You know, he's the oldest nephew, and there are two older nieces than him, but he's the oldest nephew. He's 35, I believe, and we had a great conversation about the very same stuff. The difference would be, though, that he is that much older than them. He is an entrepreneur. He has his own business. He and his beautiful wife, Anna, they are entrepreneurs in spirit. And we were talking about the different things that are unfolding in the spiritual world around experimenting with primarily hallucinogenics and microdosing with psilocybin in particular, and using THC in a different manner, not to get high, but for medicinal or for concentration purposes. We have, you guys who pay attention here, you will know that, or you'll remember that one of the sponsor of my show is one of the companies that I represent, which is HempWorks. HempWorks is part of My Daily Choice. And in HempWorks, we basically have the largest line of CBD and hemp-infused products and the number one direct-to-consumer seller of those products in the world. And we have a thing that has come out. I mean, we don't, everything is CBD has no THC in it. It has 0.3% or less THC in order to be legal across the country. And then we have, that's called full spectrum. Then we have a broad spectrum CBD, which has THC free completely. But we have this other product. It is called Delta 10 gummies. Delta 10 gummies have 25 milligrams of Delta 10 THC in each and every gummy. And the gummies look like this. If I can show them to you, if you can see them, the gummies are, maybe I need to take one out of the bag. It's just a little square, about maybe 3/8 of an inch thick, or maybe just a little more than a quarter. And it is, that's a Delta 10 CBD gummy or THC gummy. I wanted to experiment with these. I tried. We had another one before, and I don't know if it'll be back. We had Delta 8 THC, and the Delta 8 made me feel a little bit like I was high, and I didn't like it. It made me feel edgy. The Delta 10s, I don't feel any edginess whatsoever, and in fact, I feel very clear and almost kind of a can-do kind of sense, but I don't get any sense of feeling high. That's great, and it's very, very, very relaxing. But what I'm using these for more than anything in the world is my sciatica pain. So Nick and I were talking about these different variations of what people are experimenting with, and it all seems to me to be almost corollaries of metaphysics. This is beyond the physics, beyond what we have been doing or used to, or the norm, if you will. And I find it really, really, really excellent that these younger people are paying attention. I think I mentioned on an earlier show that my beloved Lisa and I did a tour here in North Carolina. There was a farm tour, and we went to 4 different farms. And the most interesting thing about all the farms, they all grew differently, and they were very not necessarily organic, but growing very naturally. As the one place was a blueberry farm, and the blueberry bushes or blueberry trees really were. There was no cultivation in between them. The weeds were growing down there. They would keep them from growing up the blueberry tree and keep the area underneath the blueberry tree kind of clean, if you will. But there were between the rows, the grass was growing. They were doing things very naturally. But the most extraordinary piece of the entire puzzle was the idea that none of these farmers were over 40 years old. That fascinated me. They're moving into this idea of growing better, healthier, more environmentally friendly crops on the small farmer basis, which I truly believe is something we need to have happen globally. Factory farmers have destroyed the land. They have bastardized our food supply. We are no longer eating food. We are eating food-like substances, things that look like food. And you can trace the history of all of the things that are killing us: diabetes, obesity, heart disease, cancer. You can trace their increases, autism among kids. You can trace that all back to the beginning of the processed food area, which really followed World War II. And it was great for the middle class. We had canned vegetables that were very processed in a very, very minor fashion, so that you had relatively fresh vegetables in that can. And it was great. It was wonderful. But as time has gone by, capitalism and profit margins have really lent themselves more towards finding ways to enhance taste, chemicals; to increase shelf life, chemicals; to make things, to make people maybe want to crave them a little more, chemicals. Everything. I mean, your tongue loves fat, salt, sugar. Anything and everything that you can add into your concoction to stimulate those taste buds gives people more in the habit of eating your product and wanting your product. I'm not sure I see anything good in that particular paradigm, but the bottom line is, we need more people like these young people that we had on this farm tour, who are absolutely creating healthier, natural foods. Even if they're not doing it totally organically, they're not doing it with a bunch of glyphosate and Roundup. They're doing it with more natural methodologies of growing. That was cool. Talking about the microdosing, many years ago, when Timothy Leary was on the scene, and he was the world's biggest proponent for the use of LSD. The idea of LSD was that it could be a tremendous resource for psychotherapy. And that was just part of the ideas. I mean, that wasn't the totality of what it was all about. I mean, obviously, lots of us, and I would include myself, spent a lot of time using LSD for the psychedelic effects of it, for the trip, which I had many of, and I loved it. It was really kind of my drug of choice when it came to that particular experience. I wouldn't touch it now with a 25-foot pole, because God only knows what you're getting. Just like everything else, it has been bastardized with chemicals and made into more poison than something that would be a more natural substance. But from using LSD, I think more and more of the hippie generation, my people, we got involved in other things that were much better known, but mushrooms and psilocybin. We got into those. Now, those things I have no fear of, because they're plants. And so it's a whole different thing. I haven't done any of that in a very, very long time. I'm not adverse to it. In fact, I discussed with my nephew the idea of maybe getting my hands on some psilocybin for some microdosing experiments. And I would microdose before I meditated, because there is definitely, without a question, part of psychedelia is the mind expansion aspect of it. And it does expand your mind. The Beatles, George Harrison in particular, spoke very highly of using LSD and the mind expanding properties of it. Now, again, I'm not a proponent of using LSD, because there are some real negative side effects from LSD, and it's not clean and pure like it was 60 years ago in the 60s. It's just not the same thing that it was back then in 70s. So Nick and I, again, had this conversation about that, and we talked about the medicinal aspects of CBD and THC. Now, back to my story here. Driving is it's not hard for me. Those of you who've watched before know I have the degenerative disc diagnosis, that I'm experiencing some degenerating discs. I think I'm improving them via meditation, exercise, and stretching. But sometimes it can be painful. And when we got over the Verrazano Bridge on our way to Long Island, and we came to a screeching halt and spent 2 hours in stop and go traffic, my sciatica hurt, number one. But number two, my sciatica is pretty much, I hate to say my sciatica, the sciatica I'm experiencing is on my left side primarily, but it can be on my right side as well. And my right glute got really sore, and my leg got a little stiff just from the stop and go, brake to gas, to brake to gas, to brake to gas, back and forth. When we left New York, I had the same experience very much for the first 2 hours and 45 minutes getting out of New York. That was really not a matter of bad traffic so much as it was, we ran into like 3 different accidents in construction that really kind of gummed up the works. But I used my gummies. Couldn't use them while I was driving. I wouldn't use them while I was driving because I don't know yet what kind of effect that was going to have. So on the way home, I didn't touch them until I got back, or I get to the hotel in Harrisonburg, Virginia. But I was using these gummies the entire time I was in New York. And as soon as I got to my destination in Fort Salonga, New York, I used these gummies to mitigate my sciatica pain. And very simply, I am not a medical doctor. I am not giving you medical advice. I am simply telling you that my experience of these Delta 10 gummies is amazing pain relief, relaxation, and sleep. And the biggest hassle anybody's got sciatica will tell you, sciatica is like, it's like a toothache in your leg that kind of throbs intermittently, and it throbs hard, and sleeping can be very problematic. So the Delta 10 gummies have saved me dramatically there. I am here to tell you this is a good thing. And again, this is, they come from the sponsor of my show, which is HempWorks, right there, hempworks.com/Ken Ludwig. If you're interested in having a look at them, I'd be glad to hook you up. I'd be glad to do any consultation with you as well, as far as using CBD infused products and the Delta 10 gummies. If I can help you with that, I'm glad to do that. And I don't want this to be a big commercial for my business, but what I do want you to understand is this stuff has tremendous medicinal properties, and I have been making use of it to mitigate pain, and I love it. And again, I'm not a doctor, and I'm not giving you medical advice. I'm not prescribing anything for you. I'm just telling you my experience. So, and the back to the young people, it was fascinating to me to talk to these young people about the different aspects of metaphysics and how they can expand their knowledge by reading certain things that they really, for the most part, are totally unaware of. And I'm obviously thrilled to be able to help them expand that knowledge and know a little bit more. So yeah, great trip to New York. It was fabulous. Got to see lots of people that I really didn't know well. I got to see the of course, the young couple that I married 4 years ago, and her parents, who are from California. Got to see them. Got to see her brother and all of my siblings and their spouses and their kids, and they're just and then all the friends of Amy and Matt who came to celebrate with them their new child. So what I did want to tell you is I didn't exercise one iota from, we left here a week ago yesterday, and we got back last night. So we're really gone for a week. And I went for a 45-minute walk earlier today, a couple hours ago, actually. And my sciatica immediately was like, oh, isn't that interesting? So when I got back here, I decided I would wait until my show. And what I would do was demonstrate for you how I use these Delta 10 gummies. And I only take a half at once, sometimes just a quarter. If it's at nighttime, I just want to get some sleep and mitigate a little bit of pain. If there's a lot of pain, I take a half. I don't take a full one because a full one kind of then has a little bit more. I don't feel high necessarily, but there is definitely more of a psychoactive thing. So I just do this, put it in my mouth. Now, I tend to suck on them and put them under my tongue for a little bit, but you can just chew them up and swallow them. And they really, 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 truly work on the sciatica pain. which to me is a very, very big deal. I've only said it once here today. I can see you guys are out there. Make a comment, say hi, anything, so that I know that you're engaged and I can engage with you. If you have any questions about what I'm talking about, always glad to answer any questions and anything that will enhance the show and grow its focus. I'm in. Just ask. I did want to do one thing by way of commercial today. I really wanted to go back to the HempWorks brand. CBD, folks. CBD is the most, why can't I ever get that right? There we go. It's the most amazing plant medicine on the planet. And once again, I'm glad to answer questions about that. The CBD is the actual name for CBD is cannabidiol. It is one of over 100 cannabinoids in the cannabis plant, whether it's the hemp plant or the marijuana plant, cannabis, indica, or sativa. Doesn't really matter which one. But because they've really kind of mingled at this point. They used to be really kind of much more distinct plants, but at this point they've been bred back and forth so that there's really not a whole lot of difference one way or the other. Although traditionally, just in their natural state, the sativa plant, the one we would recognize as marijuana, that plant has a higher concentration of THC. And the indica plant, the one that we would recognize as hemp, it has a lower THC concentration, a much higher CBD concentration. So the almost universal effects of CBD, whether you get full spectrum with that little just touch of THC that makes it legal, or the broad spectrum, which has none. It stimulates your endocannabinoid system, which is the cannabinoid system within you, which literally is, for the simplest explanation, it is receptors on every cell of your body that the cannabinoids interact with. That's the ones we use the most or know the most about, CBD and THC, which is of course, that's the psychoactive portion of the cannabinoids that is tetrahydrocannabinol, which is what gets you high in marijuana. And then there's another one called CBG, but there are other cannabinoids that are being studied because it seems like the science is only really 30 years old. The endocannabinoid system was discovered in 1992, and legitimately the science is 30 years old, and that's just a blink of an eye in time where science is concerned. Every day there are more studies being done, and every single day the science gets bigger and bigger and bigger, and the efficacy and health benefits and psychological benefits of CBD and THC are growing and expanding, getting more and more and more. But universally, you get relaxation, better sleep, and for the most part, pain relief. Different people have different levels of pain relief and different experiences of pain relief. Doesn't necessarily always relieve. It's doing great wonders for my sciatica with the gummies. That's not necessarily the truth for everybody. So that's just something we kind of experiment. There is no dosage, quotes, dosage per se for CBD or for the gummies. Everybody's different. Every set of receptors on all the cells of your body are different. So you need to kind of experiment with that to get it to where you want it to be. I didn't mean to make a big commercial here, but I'm just after being away all this time and being very active, it was really interesting to me how much these Delta 10 gummies help to relieve the pain that came from being so active and doing so much driving. So there you have it. Where do we go from here was what I titled this show. And I think it's important to recognize what I was telling to these young people, that there is no place where I end and you begin. We are all one. We are all emanations of the divine. We are each and every one of us individuations of that overarching creative intelligence. We are the same stuff, each and every one of us. If we're going to make something positive out of this horribly divided and negative world, it's got to start with recognizing one another as our brothers and sisters in form, actually, in that sense that there's no space between us. There's nothing that legitimately separates us. I mean, Einstein said the greatest This is paraphrasing. The greatest misunderstanding that man has is the illusion of separation. There is no separation. Not only are we not separate from each other, we're not separate from all the things around us. We are not separate from Mother Earth. We are not separate from the fauna and the flora of the planet. We are not separated from anything because we are all and only one thing. And that is that overarching creative intelligence form. That's all I got for you today. Remember, New Thought Media Network is a nonprofit organization. Go to ntmedia.org, click on donate. We are absolutely thrilled beyond belief to get whatever it is your little heart desires to give us. We are grateful beyond belief. You can find me at teamrockitnow@gmail.com or go to my branded Facebook page with my beloved Lisa, Vibrant Aging. Of course, Vibrant Aging goes hand in hand right here with Vibrant Living. And you can find out more about us and me there. You know, I mentioned that HempWorks is just part of a huge company that has 10 different brands under its umbrella. That company is mydailychoice.com/Ken Ludwig. Go there to find out whatever you want to find out about all of the different products that we carry. And understand, I never, ever promote anything that I don't not only believe in, but that I don't use myself. I use everything. Also, if you want to find me on Instagram, I am the evolving_hippie. That's me, evolving_hippie. If there's anything I can do for you in any way, shape, or form, please don't hesitate to find me and to ask. I'm thrilled to help you in any way that I possibly can. And of course, obviously, any of the products that I've talked about on the show, I'm glad to hook you up with them. As always, I am immensely grateful for the great gift that is your time and your attention. I hope you'll join me next Thursday and every Thursday at 4 o'clock Eastern Time, 2 o'clock Mountain, for another episode of the Vibrant Living Hour. But until then, my friends, namaste.